You know, when we're talking about technology and when we look at what's going on, there's a lot of transformation happening. And we have some interesting information developing right now in that we have with us one of the speakers that's going to be joining us for the SIM Productivity Conference coming up in May here in Orlando. Dr. Jeanne Ross is joining us right now from her offices there at MIT in Massachusetts. Dr. Ross, thanks so much for being with us today.
Great to be here, Terry. Thank you.
Really appreciate what you've done. For those that might not know about you yet, some introduction here. You're a principal research scientist at MIT, the MIT Sloan School of Management, and the MIT Center for Information Systems Research. They call that CISR, which I think is pretty cool. And sounds good. And she's known for her work on IT governance and enterprise architecture. Now, she is a person that has helped firms to develop competitive advantage through the implementation and reuse of digital platforms. You have talked a lot about how digital transformation works and how companies can use this. And one of the things I really love about your work, you said that digital transformation is not about technology. I'm thinking, what? An MIT professor saying that? But the way you say it is beautiful. Please tell us why that is so.
Well, I will admit that digital transformation is inspired by technology, but I think what we're trying to get our heads around is three brand new capabilities. One is ubiquitous data, the opportunity really to know just about anything. Secondly, unlimited connectivity, which means that when we know something, we can share it with anyone and we can acquire additional information through, this would be mobility or sensors or IoT, those kinds of things. And then the third piece is massive processing power. And that just means that regardless of how much data we collect, we can find a way to affordably process it. And what this means is, as these new technologies, social, mobile, analytics, cloud, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, blockchain, all these new technologies arrive on the scene, they are creating for us business opportunities that never existed before. But if we think about the technology itself, we're going to lose focus on the real possibilities. So if we look at these three capabilities, we can zero in on the opportunities they create for us as a business.
I like that. And one of the things you talk about that correlates directly with that is the experience that you give to the customer solving their solutions. It's not just about the technology, which I kind of like. You know, I'm kind of a nerd myself. I like that. And you say, ooh, a nice technology there. And of course, you see a lot of that at MIT. But your emphasis is on the practical application and helping customers. Tell us a little bit more about that and the work you're doing.
Certainly. When we think about digital transformations, we distinguish between digitization, which we think has been going on for a long, long time, ever since SAP arrived on the scene. It's been about operational excellence and the kind of customer satisfaction that results from being reliable and cost effective. But even though digital technologies make that even more possible, now we can do even more because of mobility and analytics, we also have brand new business opportunities. So as I think about the implications of these new capabilities, I think we want to note for ourselves that some of this is about just doing things better that we've been doing for a long time. But the other thing is we have new opportunities to solve problems. And that's kind of taking us from our traditional view of what our products and services are to a view of information-enriched solutions. What could we wrap something in? It's the Uber concept, right? I'm not just offering you a ride, I'm offering you a ride with a lot of information and convenience. And as we think about that, we start putting our customer in their context of what they're trying to get done. And the digital capabilities allow us to think about how do we help them get that done, as opposed to what kind of product or service do we sell them.
Yeah, I like the way you're saying that because we see that we're now looking at technology as a way to really improve their lives and go beyond just doing it faster. You know, it's like doing something we couldn't have done before. And I know you, as a person who's out there working, consulting with a lot of real world companies, have you seen certain things that are happening today that you go, oh, that's really nice, or some maybe new developments you've seen in the last, let's say 6 months or a year or so?
Yes, I think some of the first companies that have really gotten their heads around what's possible here are traditional engineering companies, and they've engineered products in the past. So this would be a Schneider Electric, which did electrical equipment, or a Philips that engineered hospital equipment, or a Ferrovial that did construction equipment. And now what they see is this equipment allows them to collect so much more data, to do far more analytics, to create dashboards that inform their customers about what it is they've got and what they're doing and what they could be doing. And so we see them creating an entire new set of solutions that accompany their traditional products and services.
You know, Jeannie, one of the things I really admired about what you said as I looked at the material you said is you talked about there's a change in management, that management can't just say, well, we're going to let the IT guy or the IT gal take care of that. Well, they're going to do it. You have a different perspective on how these types of things need to get done. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, clearly, because it's not about technology, it's also not just about your IT people, although they will be important to this. I actually think we have to get our heads around the fact that the way we manage is fundamentally shifting. And for me, the biggest area where we see this as true is our traditional reliance on structure. Traditionally, if we want to get something done in a company, we assign a leader, a box in the organization chart. We say, here's how much resource you get. Here's what we want you to accomplish. Here's who you'll be reporting to and who you'll be working with. You know, it's all structured. And the problem with structure is it's very stabilizing. In fact, that's why we liked it. It's like it was a commitment. We were going to get something done. Today, what we're trying to get done is, first of all, less clear. We're trying to learn what solutions our customers want us to solve. And secondly, it's faster moving. So we don't want to get into a situation where we keep stabilizing things that need to change really fast. We will find ourselves unable to adapt. So we want to kind of shift our attention from here's the structure for something I want to get done to here's an accountable person with a mission, and let that mission dictate the resource requirements and the leader identify who has something to bring to bear on that, and to recognize when it's growing in its value to the company and when it's not, when it should go away. So we will think so differently about how we manage in a digital economy, which is, as you might expect, horribly disruptive for anyone who's grown up in a traditional environment.
Yeah, exactly. Can you just leave it stable for a moment here, instead of it always changing on that? But I want to key on something you just said. It was really nice. We want to help customers get what they're looking for. Often we don't know what they're looking for, and often they don't know either. It's out there. What are some good ways and tools that you have found, techniques that have helped us to find out what they're looking for and possibly what they don't know that they don't know?
Yes. Well, first of all, you'd love to have a great vision, but I have to tell you, a lot of things that seem like great visions turn out not to be. So we are trying to constantly test that vision and make sure it's taking us in a direction we're trying to go. And so we look at companies that are trying to get their heads around what's possible. So let me take you back to Schneider Electric. This is a company that says, surely people want more than electrical equipment. They want intelligent energy management solutions. And we can offer that. Now, that seems like a no-brainer. How lovely, right? Well, that's not their immediate experience, right? They go out and they say, we got something for you. We're going to offer you intelligent energy management solutions. And their customers go, can I just have that equipment, right? Because that's their established relationship.
Sure.
So this is very much we're going to work together with you because we think there's something we could do for you. Finding the customers who say, you know what, I think you're right. And you kind of let these ideas take root with interested customers. And then you go through the very, very hard work of commercializing these ideas and saying, this is what we can do and we have done. It's still going to be a tough sell. It's not what your customers are accustomed to receiving from you.
Yeah, I like
it
that.
has a lot to do with that, working tightly with customers, especially in a B2B environment.
Yeah, I think so. Well, Dr. Jeanne Ross, you're there at MIT, and I want to ask you to do something for us that's going to help us all right now. Is right there at MIT, I'm sure you have under your desk your crystal ball. You can pick up there, rub it real well, make sure the batteries are working well, and I want you to look far into the future, like maybe 6 months to 12 years or 12 months from now, 1 year from now. And what do you see the role of the IT professional as it changes a year and then even 2 or so in the future? Where do you see it going from your perspective there at MIT?
This is such a great question because One of my favorite observations is that digital is all about speed, but it takes a long time.
That's
And,
good.
and what I mean by that is that the IT people here are so central because our companies are going from being traditional providers of products and services to being software and information companies. So it's obviously going to grow out of a technology capability. There are some companies that aren't using their traditional IT unit, they're building a new one, but in most of the companies making real progress, IT has evolved into a software development environment for these offerings. And so as I look at that, the thing I'm most struck by is that if we're talking about traditional companies that are transforming into more digital, you actually have to do this slowly. If you try to do it all at once, you'll simply disrupt your current revenue stream. And frankly, your customers probably like you. That is not what you want to do to them. We all thought we were going to replace all these physical things with virtual things, but we have not replaced. We've only added. And this is what's happening with digital offerings now, is they're adding a source of revenue. But for every company we've studied that's been around for a few years, it's small. It is very small. And so you cannot just go in and say, hey, we're going to upend our organization and create a digital organization, because only a small piece of your company, unless you love huge risk, only a small piece of your company is going to go digital. And so what you're trying to do is identify which piece is going to go out there and do the innovation and the experimenting and the development of the new customer relationships. And this actually has to take place separately from the rest of the organization, which is, by the way, counterintuitive. In the early 2000s, the e-business thing was, hey, it's got to be integration, don't separate this off. I would tell you it's the opposite now. You need to designate people whose job is innovation and experimentation and finding out how that's going to tie back to your existing products and services. And as they do that, then you'll be able to find those points of intersection. But you don't want everybody in your company innovating unless you have a lot of money to burn.
Yeah, and most companies do not. It's limited resources. I found out that, and it's important to allocate those resources where we can. Well, I am really looking forward to hearing your presentation. That'll be this coming May in Orlando, Florida, and you go over to the SIM website to register for that. Those of you that are watching this, be sure and get in there now. Slots are filling up fast. And so we're looking forward to hearing from you. Well, before we let you go, Dr. Ross, any words that you have for those IT professionals that are watching this right now, wondering where we're going, how to make sense of this crazy mixed up world? What are your final words to them?
My final words would be, there has never been a better time to be in IT, but you do want to let go of any assumptions you have as to exactly what that means. And open up your eyes to the new opportunities, because they're really exciting, and IT is going to be at the center of everything that's going on with digital.
Sounds wonderful. Well, Dr. Jeanne Ross, thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And for those of you joining us, I'm Terry Brock. I'll be your content weaver at the SIM conference coming up. Be sure and register now. Thank you for being with us today.